Greetings and salutations everyone, it's Rip, and I'm here to do a quick review of The Division. Played it on beta weekend, really good game. I think it's going to make a big splash in the community. This review is really intended for the Guardian Down Squad, a group of people I play Destiny with, but if it works for you, so much the better. Anyway, some of the things I'm going to be talking about today will kind of hit on some of the high points. Things which include the basics, which is actually an intro video from Ubisoft. I'll talk about the environment, the interface, movement, and combat, and let's not forget the Dark Zone, that unique brand of gaming they bring to us. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Hi everyone, I'm Hamish Bowden, one of your community developers on Tom Clancy's The Division. Today, you're going to find yourself in New York, where a weaponized virus has been released during the crush of Black Friday sales. But before your journey begins, here are a few tips to help you survive and enjoy this experience. Our game is a cover-based shooter, which means you're an easy target if you stay out in the open. Move from cover to cover by pressing A and protect yourself during combat. Your character can equip up to 3 weapons, a primary, a secondary, as well as a sidearm. Tap Y if you want to switch to your handgun, and hold Y if you want to grab your secondary weapon. Our game is an RPG, and as such, skills will make all the difference in combat. Your character can equip up to 2 skills, and you can switch them out whenever you feel like changing playstyle. To equip your skills, open the main menu, go into the Abilities section, and press A to assign your skills to the left and right bumpers. If you want to surprise your enemy from long range, using grenades is a great idea. You can grab a grenade by tapping left on the D-pad, and once you've set its trajectory, press the right trigger to throw it and wait for the blast. If you're running low on health, you can use medkits to get a quick health boost before going back into the fight. To use your medkit, press right on the D-pad. The world map is an augmented reality tool that you can use to explore our open world. You can open it at any time by pressing the view button on your controller. Whether it's a main mission, a side mission, or just to explore, you can select your next objective by pressing A to set a waypoint and decide how to get there.
We know that the base of operations is under siege from whatever criminals have taken over Madison Square Garden.
Okay, Agent, now you know the basics to stay alive, but remember, if you want to gear up with some of the best loot in the game, you'll want to venture into the Dark Zone. Be careful out there, and good luck.
Why am I taking the time to talk about the environment? Because it's worth it. It's a high point in this game. They really convey a sense of chaos and mayhem that came from a weaponized virus being released in and around Black Friday. Here we see a bunch of civilians trapped in a quarantine cage of some kind. I have no idea what's going on, but I don't care. It just adds to the ambience, and I was like, wow. Do you interface with these guys? Is there a quest here? Is something supposed to happen? Am I supposed to shoot somebody? After all, this is a combat game, right? Then we move quickly to this open area where we have these slit trenches, body bags by the hundreds littering the ground. You're thinking, holy crap, something really bad happened here. The effects continue as you kind of walk through this melted, burned out plastic awning. And this leads right into the single-player environment. You won't be jumped by other players here, but you will have to make decisions on who's friend and who's foe. Then we come around and you start to see the detail of this environment. A diner on the corner, light-wrapped trees sitting there, porta potties. Look at this courtyard strung with lights again. There's a big combat scene right in here, but I'll spare you right now. An alleyway filled with bags, biohazard bags, garbage bags, body bags, burned out buildings, burned out cars. I mean, it's chaos. Check out this iPhone or electronics display store. All these cases left behind. This is one for you, Max. Down in the subway. Looks like campers. Then we're in the tunnel system, right? How well is that created? I mean, it really conveys a sense of nasty. And finally, this is one of my favorite areas I bumped into. Around the corner, All of these yellow biohazard bags, clearly this is a containment zone situation. Man, so well crafted. I'm like, it just took me a moment to go, wow. Buildings vented, and then right on the ground here you've got a body on a gurney with the IV still connected. Who thought that up? Amazing. This is one of my favorite ambient scenes. This is in the dark zone, and clearly this building was on fire at some point. Fire brigade responded, showered the building in sub-zero temperatures, frosting the front of it. Who thought of that? What a great idea. Look at those lighting effects, also very good. Speaking of lighting, the weather in this game changes rapidly. First you'll have clear sunny days, then you'll have foggy environments. Let me tell you, it's difficult to be in combat in a foggy environment, very difficult. And then we have these kind of near blizzard conditions. Notice how your character is leaning against the direction of the wind, trying to shield himself from the cold. These kind of details really bring it home for you. It is now time to blather, chat, or discuss the interface. Well, hard to discuss, right, because I'm just talking. Anyway, the interface in The Division is very good. It's got this superimposed, translucent kind of look to it. As you can see, I'm going through the weapons here, and my primary DPS changes based on the weapon I'm choosing. Then I can compare and contrast. This is all standard stuff. But the interesting part here is the additions, the magazine, the optics, the muzzle that you can add to your base weapon and change its characteristics. And you can see some of the traits that you can add on those weapons. Magazine side, reload speed, optimal range, headshot damage, and horizontal stability. I don't fully understand yet what all of those do, what kind of impact they have in real time in the game, but there's no doubt about it, when you slap some of these mods onto the weapon, it certainly does make a difference. So I brought up the ACR here, and I'm showing you just kind of the different options you can see. The weapon modeling is also very, very good. Now let's get into some details with the suppressor. You can see once I change the suppressor, sure enough, the weapon actually appears differently. And it's the same if you unsling that weapon, if it's hanging off your back and you decide to draw it on somebody, it'll look exactly how you craft it right here. So great job by the designers, of course. But this is all pretty basic for the Call of Duty kind of game that you'll see out there. Though I wonder if, I'm not a Call of Duty player, so I wonder if it has this level of customization. Some of the big things that really change the weapon are magazine size. You can see here when I change the magazine, it actually drops the DPS based on the mag size that you can see and the red text down below. Here I put on a heavy spring, or think about it, and my rounds per minute goes up sharply. Now we're checking out the different sights strapped onto the top rail of this weapon. And again, they certainly do make a difference. The one thing I have noticed in the game, though, it's not intuitive how to focus in on an enemy. Typically, when you do so, you press the right trigger. That will aim your weapon, but even aiming, all you're doing really is kind of bringing yourself into a closer shoulder view, and your crosshairs are out ahead of you. With Destiny, when you aim in, you actually go down the sights for a more precise experience. In The Division, it's much different. You actually focus in just slightly, then you hit a second button to go down the sights or through the optic. Not sure that that really works for me, but it's something that I'll have to get used to. As we move back to the interface now, I'm looking at body armor, and you can see once again when I change the body armor out, it actually starts to impact not only DPS but health and skill power. These are the three main traits that your character will have as you proceed through the storyline, which is The Division. Each one of those is important in some way, shape, or form. To unlock some of the abilities in weapons that you will find later in the game, you will have to have a certain level of firearms, a certain level of stamina, or a certain level of skill power to be able to unlock that particular trait on a weapon. I skipped the rest of the interface here, and I focus purely on the cosmetic portion of the game, which is the trendy bear trapper hat, but I preferred the cool pom-pom beanie myself. Didn't see many of these floating around in the game during the beta anyway. Jackets are, pretty straightforward. The one quibble I had with the customization system, at least on appearance, is the fact there doesn't appear to be a lot of options. Again, this is the beta, so there potentially could be limits on that, but everything seemed pretty dark. All right, let's talk about movement and combat, which is really the meat in this sandwich. If it's a good game, then these two things should be perfect and fluid. Notice here I'm doing a double tap, which is kind of a dodge maneuver, very similar to the shadow step of a hunter in Destiny, and it's also handy to get out of the way of grenades quickly. Climbing in this game is very easily done. I wouldn't call it Tomb Raider-esque, but it certainly has those elements. You can't shimmy along a ledge, but you can get up to certain areas that you wouldn't think you would normally be able to climb. I didn't really touch on this before, but weapon physics in this game is extremely well crafted. I kind of had a thought here. I thought, alright, so what are the physics of the unique weapons? And I had a cross-section of armament to take a look at, and so I decided, I kind of dinked around here, figured out the appropriate distance of maybe where I would engage somebody, perhaps in the dark zone or some AI, pulled up my inventory and decided to try it out against the side of this van. First weapon I tried was a classic AK-47. I didn't think it had any mods on it, but all I did here is aim and pull the trigger. That's it. No movement, no balance, not trying to sort it out, not trying to keep it on target. Just squeeze and hold. And you see it has a pretty defined pattern, you know, up and to the right, and some pretty wide bullet spray. Then I changed it out and went to a light machine gun, the military L86 LSW, which you also find early in the game. Once more, all I did was hold the trigger, that's it. A much different recoil pattern, straight up, and the bullets are much tighter. The final weapon I tried, which actually I kind of fell in love with during the beta, is this odd little converted SMG-9. Kind of cheated there. Laid off the trigger a little bit. But on the second pattern, I just squeezed. Climbed a little higher, but look at the bullet density. Everything hits its target here. Nothing goes stray. And let me tell you, this little gun hits very, very hard and very, very quickly. Talking about the destructible environment, that's not something you see very often in games, right? You can destroy tires? Huh. I don't know practical application at this point, but it could come to bear later. Much like the movie Sicario, combat in this game is brutal and unforgiving. You see a red crosshair? Guy's dead. There's an interesting tendency, though. The AI tends to climb on objects. I don't know what that's about, but it's interesting. And certainly makes for easy picking. Here I'm engaging at long range, and sure enough, look, a guy in a car. These guys are called the cleaners. People who went insane as they were trying to destroy the virus within the city. So much for that. Oh, guy climbing on a car. Oh, that's too bad. Well, if they're not climbing cars, they're climbing fences. Oh, at least he thought he was. Again, combat here is very rewarding. Headshots are rather easy to get, especially if you have a sniper rifle and a moment of time. Very effective, just like they should be in any game. Now I'm using that SMG-9 and just ripping up folk. Again, does a lot of damage in a short amount of time. Quick reload here. Notice I had a teammate right behind me, but I was killing him so fast he just couldn't get involved. Here we're engaging a large group. I got one guy to my left. I'm at about the 5 o'clock position. My compadre's at about the 6. And we're just doing a crossfire situation. Notice that guy tried to bum rush me. That's also a theme within the game. And they always seem to be hooded. You know, I have a minor quibble with that. Bad guys tend all to look the same. In the dark zone, their health bars are purple. Oh, here's a guy bum rushing me again with a baseball bat. Okay. The physics are good though, right? Oh, hey, didn't I just kill you? No, I don't think so. He's upset. I switched to a handgun here. Doesn't matter. But here's why you're assassinating everybody you see. Look at him just indiscriminately shooting at a civilian. Time to stop this guy. Some street justice with an M1A. Doesn't seem fair, does it? Oh, headshot. Again, combat very rewarding in this game. Makes you want to come back and play more, which I think is probably the point. Oh, 2 guys in the street again. Didn't I already tag these guys? I think I did, but I just enjoyed it, so I came back for some more. Now, you see a theme here, right? They all kind of look the same. Oh, there's a thug with a baseball bat. I ran out of ammo, but I quickly change weapons and take care of business. Man, that guy with the baseball bat, he's like a bad penny. He just keeps turning up. Check this effect out, though. Yeah, that's right. I was shooting that guy's backpack and the grenade exploded, killing him. What a great effect. But here's my favorite. Dealing with these guys down in the sewer. Guy with a flamethrower trying to burn me up. He was doing a great job, actually. I switched weapons because it wasn't getting the job done. And now I just pour rounds on him. Oh! The entire backpack goes up. Let's take a look at that again, shall we? Oh, that is so rewarding. Love that experience. So then we have yellow bars, red bars, right? So the yellow bar has kind of a dashed shield or heavy armor over the top of him. Makes it kind of hard to kill. You start shifting into a different cover situation. Kind of get a beat on him, and then I realized my troops are running up, so I thought, oh, okay, I'll run up too. He hops out of cover, which is a mistake. Then I hop out of cover, which is probably a mistake as well. Hey, a planter pot. Now, you know, I've heard some people complain about the fact you can't really kill these yellow bars very well. Oh no, they go down. Speaking of yellow bars, now and again you'll run into a guy with a name, and they're exceedingly hard to kill, or are they? One headshot. Half a yellow bar, guy's gone. I believe his name was Hutch. But look what he left behind. It's got that blue column of light, and within the light you can see these small rectangles showing you how many drops were in this particular death. Tasty. Finally, the Dark Zone, that brand new gaming paradigm brought to us by Ubisoft, which is a combination of PvP and AI combat in a single area. The Dark Zone is surrounded by checkpoints, which you move through, restock, and then get into the environment. And once you're in, it's on. Expect anything. And here's an example of that. There I am, minding my own business, entering into the Dark Zone, highly contaminated, so I put on my mask. And then... what the hell? I just got here. Alright, let's play. Notice the quick switch to a handgun? Made the difference. And so that's how it can happen, right? Of course, the Dark Zone's all about high-end loot, and that means high-end enemies. Gotta hit them a little harder, a little more consistently. Better if you're in the Dark Zone with a friend or teammate than alone. It's a whole different paradigm if you're in here by yourself. But once you've got that sweet loot, it's time to get your ass to an extraction point. Then attach your yellow contamination pack to a drop rope and have it airlifted out. But of course, extraction points are a real area of mayhem and chaos. If you're trying to extract and get killed before doing so, the gear that you want out could be gone. You can see here I got an extraction out of 6 items, and that's really the limit. You can carry only 6, and then you must extract. On this particular situation, I just had a bad feeling about the guys lurking around. So I took a position of cover, and sure enough, they all started lighting up these guys. Notice how they all get skulled and there was a red dashed line between them? That means if you're grouped up and one person shoots somebody else and goes rogue, everyone goes rogue. So I was just waiting for my opportunity here. And I found it. Kinda. Sloppy gunfire there. Still waiting for a look. I see a guy up on top. The M1 hits very, very hard. Notice it takes a while. Even when somebody is down, they cannot fight back. But there's a moment of time where they can be rezzed. If you pour enough rounds on them, they can't crawl anymore. But becoming rogue in a Dark Zone is a deal. It gets everybody's attention in a big hurry. I was chasing this guy and found that some others were chasing him as well. 4 dudes going over this fence. And I had no idea who they were. We just saw a rogue guy that we wanted to get a piece of. And it's everywhere, right? If you go rogue, I mean, people are jumping on you from every angle, from every distance, up close and personal, and scoped in. Again, rewarding. So this guy running away from an extraction point. He gets grenaded. I come in around a 6. Don't quite get the finish. Other guy does. Notice he drops loot, though. That's interesting. In the dark zone, if you die, you may drop some items, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, going rogue is something that you should avoid. Here, I'm just tagging some bad guys. My intent is not to shoot any other players, period. Firing at this guy, and oh! See that guy run through my field of fire? One shot. Took one shot, and I went rogue. And I did the same here. Actually, I just missed my target. I saw a guy with a red bar and confused it. Then I went rogue, and so you got a choice. You can own it and maybe kill other players, or maybe go to ground, stay quiet, and hope you don't get noticed. And that's what I tried to do here. I'm checking my 6. I've got my partner with me. He's eyeballing other stuff as well. And then the timer concludes, and I survive. Here, we chased a bunch of guys up onto the top of a building. It was a massive firefight, lots of players down. As I was retreating from the area, I saw this one guy. And I noticed he was in a surrender pose, so I thought, you know what? I could shoot him. Or, you know, he's got a 49-second count. Or maybe I could be a generous gentleman for once. So I give him a wave. All right, fine. I turn and immediately see the firing squad waiting for him. And I think, yeah, this is not going to go well. Sure enough, they drop him. And then something interesting happens. It's time for jumping jacks, clearly. Maybe this will be a thing in the division. I have no idea. I just thought it was hilarious. Here I am fighting a guy, using my best skills, which aren't really that good. But, you know, doing whatever I can to try and survive. He's down. I 4 rounds on him. I get the kill. I'm very excited about it. So then I'm thinking I'm getting cocky, and I see a guy here with a red bar, and I'm like, what? Oh, yep. I killed the wrong guy, or shot at the wrong guy. Suddenly I'm rogue. I'm not trying to be. Knocked down. You see, I've got time. That ring is circling on me. I could hold B to give up right now, but you never know. If I maybe get to a position of cover, which I try to do here, perhaps somebody else will get to me and res me before I die. You know, or not. Now notice the drops here, okay? Goes in 2 categories. I've got public items dropped, a heavy holster, a classic RPK 74, and adjustable knee pads, and private items dropped. This means that anyone around me can pick up the public items, but when I res, then I can come back and get the private items that I dropped. An important distinction to remember should you play this game. Okay, this final scenario was interesting. I'm hanging out by this extraction point. Guy's already kicked off a flare for 56 seconds. I'm waiting. But the guys around here were just shifty. I'm thinking, man, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. So I just hung out on this crate. Couldn't tell if that was a guy up there or not. And their plan was ruined by the proximity microphone system, which is in the division. If you're close enough to another player and talking in your microphone, they can hear you. And so I got wind of their plans.
There's a dude up here.
See, they're scouting the area, trying to figure out who's around before they plan to take this extract. And I love this proximity system. I think it's great. It adds an additional element to the game.
Really? You rank up pretty fast by doing that?
Do you want to take this extraction, he says.
I don't have anything to extract.
And here comes a poor sucker just walking into the area hoping to extract. They light him up. All 4 of them go rogue immediately. I look for a target. Yeah, this guy's kind of hopping around. So I swing back around to the extraction point hoping for a high-density target. And sure enough, I get lucky with a couple of guys clustered up. start chasing this guy over the fence. I do a reload, damn it. He's down, but I'm trying to get the kill. Put a couple of rounds into the post, and I go out of ammo. It's very disturbing. Thought I had this guy. Kind of awkward. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about the environment, and I give it a 7 out of 10. Why? Even though I heaped praise on them for modeling different locations within a city, it's still within a city, and it all kind of looks the same. They've done a great job, don't get me wrong, but I wonder if that's going to get a little boring and tedious. Second item is going to be the interface. I give it an 8 out of 10. It's just unique and interesting. It's not spectacular, and I could probably drop that score a little bit, but by and large, I really enjoyed it. It was intuitive, functional, and got the job done. Gameplay is an 8 out of 10. I thought it was very, very good. Movement is fluid, aiming is simple, combat is effective and rewarding. Really enjoyed this portion of the game. Finally, the Dark Zone, I give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's a very unique and interesting gaming paradigm. I look forward to exploring it. I do have some concerns over it. With only a limited number of extract points within a Dark Zone, it makes me wonder if they can't just be camped, and griefers will just prevent anyone from getting anything out of a Dark Zone, and that'll be just tedious. You'll have to log out, log back in, hope you get to a different instance of the Dark Zone. I don't know, it's going to be something which will evolve as the game matures. But besides that, I think the Dark Zone is really interesting, and I look forward to playing this. By and large, I think The Division is a worthy game for the Guardian Down Squad to transition into. I look forward to seeing you guys there.